So friends, now I'm here with a new topic called as place of supply. It is one of the important topics for GST. The title is place of supply. And in this topic, all the sections which we are going to refer, those are from IGST Act. IGST Act as such, it is a small act. Only 26 sections are there in total, but very relevant for certain points. And in majority of the cases we talk about CGST Act. Now the first question is, why to decide place of supply? Reason being, GST is destination based tax. When I say destination based tax, you can say where goods are delivered or services are consumed. And when we have decided the place of supply, the jurisdiction of the tax also gets decided. And when jurisdiction is decided, then we understand which tax is payable, whether it is IGST is payable or we need to pay CGST plus SGST or UGST, which tax is payable. And this should be very clearly decided which tax is payable. Reason being, if the tax is wrongly paid, then it is not adjustable, it is refundable. But first you pay the correct tax and then only you can apply for the refund. IGST, as we know, this is in case of interstate supplies, and this is in case of intrastate supplies. So that's why we said it should be clearly known which tax is payable. Taxes wrongly paid. Taxes wrongly paid are not adjustable but those are refundable. And for getting the refund, first correct tax has to be paid and then only refund can be applied. And for that, if you wish, you can refer section 77. This is CGST Act. So because of these reasons, it becomes important to decide which is the place of supply. Now, what are the complications involved? Let us understand that also. What are the complications in determining the place of supply? So friends, in this act we are talking about two things. Number one, goods. Number two, services. As far as goods are concerned, goods are tangible and it is easy to decide from which place those are being supplied or where those are being supplied. But when it comes to services, services being intangible, number one. Reason number two, multiple modes of delivery. Or you can say supply of service, right? Internet, that is wired line as well as without wired. DTH without wiring. Skilled labor, manpower presence is needed. The number of modes of supply of service, and quite possible there is no fixed establishment for service provider and the receiver of service. That adds more complications. Establishments, may not be fixed. Suppose a photographer supplying services relating to photography, but only in relation to events, doesn't have any fixed establishment, operating from home. And places where he is providing services that keep on changing on day-to-day basis, which is the place of supply. So in case of services, this becomes little more complicated, right? So this is just an introduction why it is important to decide the place, because that is going to determine the taxable jurisdiction, and we get to know which tax is payable. If taxes are wrongly paid, those are refundable but not adjustable. And what are the issues involved? These are the issues involved, right? Now the factors which are relevant for determining the place, the factors relevant are: number one, location of supplier. Number two, location of recipient, the two most important things. Number three, in addition to these three, the place of performance may be altogether different. Suppose a builder having office in this building, contractor is also having office in this building, but the work is going at some other site, maybe in another state. Place of performance, that will change. Then place of consumption, this may further differ. In case of mobile connection, every person holding mobile keeps on moving from place to place. It is not a fixed place. So it is the services are being consumed at different location at every moment. That is also an important factor. And another factor, who is the actual beneficiary. These all factors are not relevant in every situation, but these are the factors which are relevant for determining the place of supply. Some of these may be required in all cases and some of them may not be required in all cases, right? Now I'm giving you an easy solution to understand how to decide the place of supply. Something very easy, right? And that will become a guide to understand the entire chapter. Now all the supplies we can divide in two parts. that is B2B supply and B2C supply. B2B supply, one supply is being made for further supply. Suppose a car manufacturer supplying the goods to the showroom, that is first supply, that is B2B supply, because showroom is going to make a further supply. So when the car is sold from the showroom to the customer, that is B2C, but when the car is sold by the manufacturer to the showroom, that is B2B, right? Now in this case, in case of B2B, both the parties are registered, and when they are registered, they have a fixed establishment, and when they are registered, there is continuous input tax credit. So therefore, in case of B2B supply, in majority of the cases, the recipient, location of recipient becomes the place of supply in case of B2B. So this is just a guideline, or you can say it is the summary of the entire chapter, but it does not apply 100%, right? This will guide you. If it is B2B supply, it is the place of recipient, and in case of this B2C, consumer may not be registered, and even if he is registered, but it does not mean every service he is availing or every article is buying that is related to business. So it is presumed that in case of B2C, the consumer is not registered, and if it is not registered, there is no input tax credit. And how to have all the particulars about the customer. So in these cases, generally location of supplier, generally location of supplier, this becomes the place of supply, right? So this is just a brief. If it is B2B supply, the location of recipient is generally the place of supply, and when it is B2C supply, it is location of the supplier which is called as place of supply. So this will help you to understand the entire chapter thoroughly. Now as usual, in every topic we have certain important definitions. So from this we are coming to definition. So the first important definition is continuous journey. Now continuous journey is, first of all, it is a journey for which one or more tickets or invoices are issued. The term is continuous journey, right? This is defined under section 2 subsection 3. Everything is under IGST Act. This is one or more ticket or invoices. These are issued by supplier or agent, and during journey no stopover is involved. Now what is called a stopover? A stopover means, first of all, the passenger is disembarking, and after disembarking there is either change of conveyance or break journey is there. So in case of continuous journey, the first requirement is one or more tickets or invoices are issued. Who is issuing? These may be issued by the supplier or the agent. Agent need not necessarily be working only for one supplier. He may be working for more than one suppliers at the same time. And during the entire journey, there is no stopover, no disembarking, right? And if there is a disembarking, this is for the change, or there is a break journey, then it is not a continuous journey. So here we have said during journey there is no stopover. Got it? So this is first important definition, continuous journey, section 2 subsection 3. Okay. Next is export of service under section 2 subsection 6. Export of service. This is section 2 subsection 6, again IGST Act. The first requirement is supplier of service located in India. Number 2, recipient of service is outside India. Number 3, place of supply, this is also outside India. Number 4, payment is received in convertible forex. So this is called export of service, and all the requirements are compulsory at the same time. The location of supplier is in India, the location of recipient is outside India, the place of supply, this we will talk about in section 12 and 13, specifically section 13, and the payment is received in convertible forex. This is called as export of service. Now similarly we have import of service also. In case of import of service, supplier, he is outside India. Number 2, recipient, he is in India, and place of supply, this is also in India. In this case, the concept of payment is not there in case of import of service. So export of service, the supplier of service is located in India, the recipient of service is outside India, the place of supply is outside India, and the payment is received in convertible foreign exchange. But import of service says the supplier of service is outside India, the recipient of the service happen to be in India, and the place of supply, this is also in India. So that is called import of service. Now next definition, that is called fixed establishment. That is fixed establishment. This is section 2 subsection 7. Fixed establishment, section 2, subsection 7. So fixed establishment is, it is an establishment other than place of business. Now place of business is registered, but this is a place other than the place of business, and based on characteristics it can be called as fixed. Characteristics are sufficient to decide that this is a fixed establishment, and this is capable of supply or rather supplying or receiving services. So fixed establishment defined under section 2 subsection 7. So this is a place other than the place of business, and by characteristics it can be characterized as a fixed place, and this is capable of providing the service or receiving the service. This is important because we are going to talk about something more after this. Now another important definition that comes, location of recipient of service. Location of recipient of service. This concept is defined only in relation to service, not in relation to goods, and this is section 2 subsection 14, which is the location of the recipient of service. Number 1, if services are received at the establishment for which registration has been obtained, then such place. This is only location. We are not deciding the place of supply. Which place will be referred as the location of recipient? So if the services are received at the place which is already registered, then that will be considered as location of the recipient. And if received at another fixed location, received at another fixed establishment, then such fixed establishment. Reason being because there is only one registration in the state, and you can have number of places in the state, right? So which is the main place? It is here. Any other branch within the same state, that will go under this category, fixed establishment. If received at multiple locations, received at multiple locations. So you can say a bank having a regional office in Mumbai, and all the branches of Mumbai come under the control of that regional office, and regional office is receiving the services of security at every branch, including the regional office. This is an example received at multiple location. In that case, location which is most directly connected to recipient. So the regional office of the bank which is entering into the contract for the supply of the security at all the branches, that will become the place of supply. And if none of the above, so the person to whom the services are being given, he is not a registered person, there is no fixed establishment, then what is to be done? This is usual place of residence of recipient. This will become the place of supply, or rather location of recipient of service. So to whom services are being given, it is important to decide which is the location. So quite possible there is one company which is having the head office in Mumbai, but it is having a factory in Rajasthan, and the services are being given in Rajasthan. So factory itself is a fixed establishment, so services are deemed to have been received in the factory. That will become the location of recipient. It is not the head office which is situated in Mumbai. So for every purpose, it is everywhere registered office is mentioned, but the company is having a factory in Mumbai which is a fixed establishment, so received at another fixed establishment. Then such fixed establishment, so if some services are received in that factory, then the location of the recipient will be that factory, not the head office which is generally mentioned everywhere. Now similarly, we have another definition under subsection 15, that is location of provider or supplier of service. So this we can change, and this will also change. So location of supplier, and this becomes 50. Exactly identical definition if services are given from the place which is registered, then that location. If services are given from any other fixed establishment other than the registered place, then that fixed establishment. If services are given from multiple locations, then which is most directly connected to the supplier, and otherwise last is the usual place of resident of the supplier. You can read the definition directly there, because writing the same doesn't make a sense, right? Only change is that earlier we talked about recipient, now we are talking about supplier. So first clause is, if the services are provided from the establishment or the place of business which is registered, then registered place. If the services are given from any other fixed establishment, then that fixed establishment. And if the services are given from multiple locations, then the place which is most directly connected to the supplier. And last is, if none of the three above, then last one comes usual place of residence of the supplier of service. Right? Now last important definition, OIDAR services. OIDAR, online information or data access retrieval services. So friend, these are the services which are necessarily provided through internet or through electronic media, with the minimum human intervention and maximum automation. So these are services through internet or electronic medium. In this, there is maximum automation and there is minimum intervention. For example, advertising on internet. So whatever advertisements are there on the webs, that is there. Then cloud service is there, data safety or security is there. These are examples. Actually, any of the service which is offered through internet or electronic mode, you can say online gaming, services of softwares are given. Then we have movies, music, etc. So whatever facilities are available through the internet or through the electronic mode, and there is maximum automation and minimum human intervention, that is referred as OIDAR services, and these are examples. So these are important definitions which are relevant for us for discussing the provisions. Now I'll just give you the brief of the provisions which are there. So for the purpose of determining the place of supply, actually 4 sections are there. So I'm just putting the title statutory provisions, and these are under IGST Act. For place of supply for goods and for services. In relation to goods, 2 parts. This is other than import or export, and this is import or export. This is covered under section 10. This is section 11. Right? In this case, titles are slightly changing. Service provider and service recipient in India. Where the service is actually given, that is not important. And here, service provider or service recipient abroad. This is covered under section 12. This is covered under section 13. So this is the summary of the entire chapter, right? So in this video, we will be doing up to this, and next video will start with this portion, place of supply in relation to goods, section 10 and section 11. That is going to be the next video.